if they're cosmic Q beings banging on the ship, then wouldn't they essentially... Yeah, I probably switched them around, but it doesn't matter. They're kind of... Yeah, he's kind of a clone of that other guy anyway. So the idea is that they're Q-like, and the cosmic entity is making him reproduce like while he's doing her, and her too. So yeah, that's what's going on. So oh, we're gonna get some dinner now. It's behind the 8-ball on this one. Behind the 8-ball. It's Thursday. There's no John night tonight because John's marked cards is sick. Mother's sick. Yeah. So anyway, so that's no John night tonight. Now here we have behind the 8-ball, which is the Quentin Tarantino episode, Star Trek. He wrote a premise, put it up online, and we cribbed it, as he often does with his movies. Reservoir Dogs was based on a previous movie, Killing City or something. Many of his movies are based on other things. So this one is also based on, loosely on his premise. His premise was basically, let's do Star Trek like the Mob Planet, but let's do Pulp Fiction, but with Star Trek people. So this one does that, sort of. Except I made it more of a Star Trek story. I took it and I made it a Star Trek fan fiction story with a premise. They go to the Mob Planet. Because you can't just say, oh, we're going to do Pulp Fiction on a Mob Planet. Where's the story there? You can't just do a random thing on the planet. You have to make it a linear story. So, Mr. Tarantino has trouble with linear stories. His ADD really bad. It's not artsy. I'll do reference art in there, and beer, and wine, and the booze. There were... I mentioned the artwork thing. We worked on that to get that right. Also, the booze thing. We had to ask Mark's Cards and other people about that. So this scene was, the scene we just did was, them discovering the weapons on the planet, and you got sort of an Elton Soon God thing. Kind of ties in a little bit to that previous episode with the statue of the Keptaran lady. Because you figure Cillians would probably do stuff like that. They would have like statue gods everywhere. And yeah, they would, because like that Orville episode with the statue of the Kelly in the other universe. They were worshipping her because she was from another starship. Ew, but it's like, yeah, of course they would have done that. Of course they would have. It's silly track. Yeah, it makes sense. But in this case, he was sort of their Einstein. Probably during the synth ban. He probably visited it. Makes sense. Even though it's silly, it makes sense. And if they had nukes, they would probably destroy themselves. So there you go. Anyway, oh well. So let's do about 90 minutes more of this, and then stop for the evening. With over tonight here. And let's do it. End of it for the night. The end of 28. And yeah, there's not going to be much making of, I don't think, on this one, because straightforward. A little bit of it is Pulp Fiction meets Star Trek, but not so much of it that it's a copyright thing on Mr. Tarantino's original story idea. Still, they're making fun of Pulp Fiction, basically. Bring up some things in there. Mixing up Ezekiel and Psalm 23. Of course, Royal Cheese. I know Mark's Cards has been to Europe, and France and England and all that. They didn't call it that there. Same time as Pulp Fiction came out. A little bit before Pulp Fiction came out. So he was there. And they called it a quarter pounder. They call it that in Japan too. So, and in Europe and in England stuff. Relatives, my sister's ex-husband, Ian. He is from England. He said it's not called that. It's called a quarter pounder in England. And the kids and the nephews and nieces, they ate at the McDonald's. It was called a quarter pounder there. When my dad visited France and England when he was old, called a quarter pounder there. We had him check. So we've had several witnesses that have been to those places. And now with the internet, they didn't have the internet was very new back then. So they couldn't just look up the internet. Let's see what the menu in England, in London, England, for McDonald's is. Let's see what the menu in Paris, France is. You can literally go there on their website, look it up. Order pounder with cheese. That's what it's called. Even when they had a commemorative 30th anniversary. Well, in the story, that would be 2024. But yeah. Even when they did that, it would be a year after this. But in the story, they're in the future. So they have a little bit of 2024 thrown in there. Yeah. That's why. So yeah. No. It's never called a Royale with cheese. Although technically a Burger King would make more sense if it was Burger King. But nope. French Burger King, English Burger King. It's called a Whopper there. It's called a Whopper here. It's called a Whopper there. So, nope. They have interesting different menu items, though, in different places. But other than that, no. I don't know where he was getting that from. And yeah, Psalm 23 is what he was really thinking of. Ezekiel and Ecclesiastes were mixed up. Ezekiel, not Ecclesiastes. Right? Yeah, they strike down with vengeance, so I saith the Lord. Yeah. No, that's Ezekiel. But only the Lord may strike down with vengeance. Yeah. That's what it says. Only the Lord may do that. So Wallace in the movie was wrong. Yeah. Anyway, it's Friday the 13th, and we're continuing with Russian on the video. And this is page 29, top, and the behind the 8 ball. See? Yeah. Homage to 1920s mob movies and later ones. Because, yeah, we have Swearing Man, who is basically Tarantino. No, we don't really. It's not really Tarantino. We're doing, yeah. No. Only he likes feet. Tarantino likes feet. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's page 41 lines up with the last 5 pages. We already filmed those. So that's the mob episode. That is the episode on the mob planet. Siege, guys. Yeah, so that's kind of it. There's really not much behind the scenes because we just went straight through. I filmed the whole thing over the 2 days. And yeah, there wasn't any screwing up. So I'll check the dailies, see what's going on, and yeah. Yeah. She was going later, she's. Yeah, just step on it now. This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster. Thinking I should add a little bit to what Behind the 8 Ball was about. It was based on I'm not sure if we went over this before, very briefly. About 2 years ago or 3 years ago or so, Quentin Tarantino, the Maverick director, wanted to do a Star Trek, and he wrote out a premise, which they kicked and screaming asked him about over and over again. He wouldn't answer them. Finally, he released the premise offhandedly on the internet, and it was basically Pulp Fiction meets Star Trek, a la Forbidden Planet. That was his plan. Yeah. But that's all really. The premise was about maybe half a page long, and he was basically going to put Kirk, Spock, and McCoy talking about Star Trek. Yeah. So yeah, sheesh, you wise guys. Yeah, so I probably had other stuff and mention of it and things like that. So far, about half the season is done. We filmed it. So in this case, doing the Behind the 8 Ball was like easy peasy because all we had to do was yet another. Oh, they're doing a blog on a planet kind of thing. And a little bit easier than the other ones. There wasn't a lot of action. A piece of the action. They go to places on the planet. It's an update of a piece of the action. That was a David Harmon script from TOS back in the day. And they never did a Next Generation update of that. Or the Roman planet or the Miri planet. They left all those planets alone. We went there in Silly Track. And this is yet another example of a story that is a rewrite of an existing one. in some ways. The premise of the founders being on the planet and the other Horizon ship being on the planet. You've probably seen it in Cillian Realms. In the Phantoma and Clark's series, we go to the Roman planet, we go to this planet, we go to the Miri planet, and similar things happen there. Like we have a similar Founder Odo thing going on. We have a similar other thing going on. So you don't need to make a novelization of this season. This is yet another example of that. It's basically already been done. Be like, oh, let's just do the Fallen ones again. It's sort of this here too. It's a cheap and dirty way to do it, but it's like, no, you just these are stories we wanted to tell from Phantoma and Clerks, so we updated them a little bit, put them in the stories. But the Tarantino thing was different. His premise is added in there, quirks from some of his movies. Oddly enough, we don't do the Watch one, Bruce Willis and the Watch. We didn't do that, but sticks a watch up his butt. We didn't put that in there because you couldn't really do that. That would be weird. But Tarantino does have a foot fetish. He puts women's feet in his movies. Also, he's extremely ADD. And I think I mentioned this before. But it seems like I mentioned this before. And everybody thought, oh, it's so avant-garde and artsy that Pulp Fiction was filmed out of order. But later interviews with Tarantino and Rodriguez and the other people involved were like, no, he didn't know it was out of order. He wasn't being artsy. He just thought that was the order of the movie and how it should go. So, oops. Didn't know it was out of order because on Death Proof and the other one of his later ones, they're all like, and Kill Bill 1 and 2 and that kind of thing. The other guys helped him, and they said, like, no, there has to be a little bit of linear thought going on. Otherwise, you kill the good guy halfway through, or the bad guy. Don't know what's going on. Also, this story not only has the final act villain, it also has the final act hero, who shows up in Subvert Expectations. And actually, that is a Tarantino trope that he's used as well. So, especially in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's a little bit of that in here, with the two heroes and the villain showing up in a completely it's a little spoof of that and Hateful Eight and but mainly Hateful Eight. Yeah, it's more like that than the other one. I would say the fighting in it is not as explosive as Glorious Bastards or his which was a rewrite, incidentally, or Django Unchained. Those two were remakes of Italian giallo movies, the Glorious Bastards and Giallo. The Reservoir Dogs was a remake of The Killers. Hong Kong movie. So he hasn't really, some originality in there. Pulp Fiction is not really a remake. Jackie Brown is a nod to exploitation movies as well. So he's done about 9 or 10 of them now. He's probably going to do another one. Anyway, we'll check this out. Yeah. Hold on a minute. It's a very strange. So, most of this behind the scenes thing with the thing is, there isn't much more to add. That's what we did in the story. So this is kind of a bookend to say what we added and how it went, and it went fine. And I like it when episodes are fine. Usually, if a behind the scenes thing has a lot of issues, it's a longer one. This one didn't have a lot of. We just filmed it. Mark Cards' mother is in the hospital, so that sucks. And anyway, that's wishes for that. Recovery and all that. But we have Mark Cards, and we're on this. He's not involved in any of the voice acting or anything. So there were scenes that he was part of writing this episode. This was written during the I guess it kind of was still during the writer's strike, but we're not SAG and AFTA, so strike, it's fine. We're not union either, so it's fine. Yeah, so yeah, we completed writing these stories in February, so yeah, technically, yeah, no strike yet. Yeah, so February this year. Yeah, so it's Friday the 13th, and yeah, we're done an episode, and now I have a late lunch. Yeah. So that's I really have nothing more to add. I don't need to add anything extra. The scenes about different kinds of booze and stuff like that. We creative consultants on that, nephew, and of course Mark's cars on what's a good scotch. I wouldn't know. I'll look that up. Also, there's also the blood wine joke. Also, yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, but it was really brief. That infamous Royale with cheese scene and how that went down. In the movie, you get the impression the two mobsters that are talking about the Royale with cheese scene. They think that they're smart, and the one is like going on about how he's smart and brilliant and clever. And this is before the internet, or the internet was very primitive, so he couldn't have looked it up. And the two of them are going on about how they use the metric system, so why would they call a quarter pounder a quarter pounder? That was the thing. So, and he convinces his friend that they call it a Royale with cheese because even though they wouldn't know what a pound is, even though their currency is pound sterling, so they would totally know what a pound is, so it's no problem. But they didn't think about that. Or UA money, they would use the UA money, the currency over there. Also, yeah, and it didn't make sense because Mark's cards had, it was in high school just before the movie came out, a couple of years before the movie came out. I'd been to Europe, been to the McDonald's, been to the Paris one, and yeah, they called it a quarter pounder there. So that scene doesn't make any sense. Why is that? Because they don't call it that. They call it a quarter pounder, just like they call it here, a quarter pounder. Also, years later, when Martha, with my sister, was married to Ian Landon from England, their family went to England a couple times. They ate at a McDonald's. That's what it's called. It's quarter pounder. They did not change it. They were familiar with Pulp Fiction. So there's been a couple of people that have gone there and said nope. Also, now that the internet exists, you can go to the London or the Paris website, look at a menu, see what they got on there. And not even during the 20th anniversary of Pulp Fiction, 2004, not even then did they ever call it anything other than a quarter pounder. So that scene was... Then the 30th anniversary would be 2014. Yeah, so they didn't do it then either. They were not that thrilled about American movies over there, so they wouldn't have known. Yeah. Also, yeah, so yeah, Tarantino's premise originally was that, and kind of been over that before. So I think we're done. I think you got everything you need in here. You got everything you need. We have the story, how long it took. It took 2 days to finish it, and then we'll start working on the next story. The one after that. Yeah, I believe it is the one with Sheila V and some of the other cast from Trek Corps show up on the Chimera. They go to a the Roman planet. To do a Roman planet. Yeah, they never did it in Next Gen or Deep Space Nine. Also, the changelings popping up over and over again. Like I mentioned in the other making of, in the other episode, the end of Fearful Symmetry, when they'd shot the bad guy, the Vita Cola character. I hope I didn't call him Colavito in the story. Vita Cola. Colavito's the real name. Vita Cola's the parody name that Colavito approved of. So yeah, so Vita Cola is alive. He shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm alive. Anyway, so yeah, that's about it. What's this one? That's this one. That's this one, and yeah.